All right, as your security consultant, today I want to talk about a threat that, well, it's not knocking on your door, it's already in the house. It's using your own tools, your own trusted infrastructure as its weapons. So let's get into how we can harden your endpoints against this kind of insider attack. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to unpack what this threat really looks like. Then, we'll pin down exactly what living off the land means. After that, we'll dive into a new way to defend against it, see how it actually learns the digital fingerprint of your company, and finally, look at how we can turn all that data into a much sharper defense. All right, first things first, we need to understand that the whole threat landscape has shifted. We're not just talking about some piece of malware from the outside trying to bust down the door. No, the attack has moved inside. And because of that shift, we've got to start looking inward. You see, attackers are now hiding in plain sight. They're literally weaponizing the exact same tools that your IT teams rely on every single day. And that camouflage, well, it makes them incredibly tough to spot. And hey, this isn't just some theory. I mean, look at this number. 47%. Between 2021 and 2023, nearly half of all ransomware attacks were using these living off the land techniques. This has become the go-to playbook for any serious attacker out there. Okay, so let's really nail down what we mean by this threat. Because if we're going to fight it and fight it well, we have to know exactly what we're up against. And why it's so darn tricky to stop. You've heard the term living off the land, or LOTL. And really, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's when attackers use your own legitimate, trusted applications and tools to carry out their attack. Their nasty business just blends right in with all the normal day-to-day stuff, which makes it practically invisible to traditional security. And that right there, that gets to the absolute heart of the problem. Your system administrators, they rely on these exact same dual-use tools to keep things running. Think about something like PowerShell, right? It's essential. So the million-dollar question becomes, how in the world do you stop the bad guy without completely tying the hands of your own team? Let me put it this way. Think of a tool like PowerShell as being like a janitor who has a master key to the whole building. Now, he's a trusted employee, right? He belongs there. So your traditional security, it's not going to stop him at the door. But what happens when he uses that master key to unlock a server room he's never, ever been in before? That is the exact vulnerability we're dealing with. So how do we stop a threat when it looks just like one of our own trusted users? Well, it means we need a totally new strategy. Let's explore what that solution looks like. The old way of doing things, it put us in a really tough spot. You either had to allow these powerful tools and just hope for the best, or you blocked them and brought productivity to a grinding halt. It was a terrible choice. Adaptive protection, though, it gives us a way out of that dilemma. We're moving past a simple block or allow approach to something way smarter, something that understands context. And for you at the CISO level, the benefits are really clear. First, you're drastically reducing your endpoint attack surface. That's a direct reduction in business risk. Plus, you're going to see way fewer false positive alerts, which means your SOC team can focus on what actually matters, making them a whole lot more efficient. This here is a perfect example of that granular control. Notice we're not just blocking PowerShell entirely. That would be crazy. Instead, we're looking at specific behaviors. So, for instance, an attacker might try to use PowerShell to mess with the Windows task scheduler to make sure their malware sticks around. That specific action? Denied. But your sysadmin who's just running a normal script? They're completely fine. See the difference? We're denying the dangerous behavior, not the tool itself. Okay, so let's get into the how. How does this system build a totally unique defensive profile for you? It's like creating a digital fingerprint that's specific to your organization and nobody else. It's basically a three-step process. First, it uses machine learning to just watch and learn what normal looks like for all your trusted apps. Then, over a period of time, it gathers all this data and maps out how often certain things happen. And then the third step is the magic. It automatically denies any behavior that's a total anomaly, things that have literally never been seen in your environment before. It goes back to our janitor, right? It's about learning his normal route, so the second he tries a door he's never used, you know something's wrong. So what's really interesting is how all this data gets visualized for your team. This isn't some black box where you don't know what's happening. No, this gives your people real, actionable intelligence they can use to fine-tune your policies. And this is it, the heat map. What you're looking at is a super clear, at-a-glance view of which trusted applications are doing what across your entire network. It basically takes all that complex behavior and makes it visible.
And as you can probably tell, everything is color-coded based on how common it is, what we call prevalence. This means your team can immediately see what the impact would be if they decided to block something. High prevalence, that's common stuff. But zero prevalence, that's a behavior that has never, ever happened before. It's a really intuitive way to look at risk.
Now, this is the most important part. Those zero prevalence behaviors, the ones that never happen, think of them as unlocked doors that no one in your company ever uses. They're a pure, unused attack surface, and with this data, you can go ahead and block them right away. You shrink your attack surface without affecting a single person's ability to do their job. And the level of detail here is pretty fantastic. Your team can just hover over any one of these squares and see exactly what percentage of devices would be affected. But even better, it maps that behavior directly to the corresponding MITRE attack technique. This allows you to make really precise, data-driven decisions, connecting what's happening in your world to the bigger picture of known attack frameworks. So to wrap this up, what we're really talking about is a fundamental shift in defense. We're moving away from a generic one-size-fits-all approach to one that is precisely adapted to your organization's unique operational fingerprint. It gets us past that old block or allow problem and lets us intelligently manage the behaviors of the tools you already trust. So I'll just leave you with this one critical question to think about for your own security posture. How much of your potential attack surface is hiding right now, in plain sight, inside the very tools your teams rely on every single day?